and welcome to the DIY Photo Organising Podcast, focusing on topics to help you with your photo management. I'm Fiona from Photo Helper.
And I'm Chantal from Photos in Order. Today we are talking about how to back up Apple devices without iTunes, because you might have heard that Apple has stopped using iTunes on their latest operating system. So what are your options? And we're going to talk you through these, and of course also talking about pros and cons, and we'll look at iCloud backups, at backing up to your Mac using the Finder if you're already on the new operating system, Catalina, and how to back up your phone or your Apple device to your Mac using other tools or a USB. And we'll also mention what you can do when you have an Apple device but are using a PC, a Windows computer. So shall we start with the iCloud backup? Can you tell us a bit more about that, Fiona?
Yes. All right, so when you're looking at backing up, obviously we've got the use of our iCloud, which we love, we use, and there's some pros and cons. So the pros for using the iCloud backup, first of all, it's easy to use. So if you haven't looked at how to do a backup using iCloud from your phone, it's really easy. Just grab your phone, not if you're driving. Please wait till you pause the podcast and jump out of the car. All right, so go to your settings, and then on the top where your profile is, where your Apple ID is, just click on that. Go then to iCloud, and then at the bottom of the list there, you'll see iCloud backup. So some people are surprised, they actually haven't seen that before or really noticed it. It is down the bottom of the list. So if you just toggle that on, then that is now backing up your phone. So it will run automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing to be aware of, though, is it's going to chew up your storage amount. So just be aware that even though it is easy to set up and it is easy to use, the costs are minimal, but the con is that it does cost. It would cost, and it's very easy to need to go into a paid service with Apple.
Yeah.
So the cons of doing it this way is that, yes, you're going to pay, but look, in today's day and age, we just accept, I think, a lot more readily that we're going to pay for storage, for cloud storage, in whatever way we're using, whether they're backups like we've talked about on other different services, if it's for your photos, on whatever apps that you're using. It's just a fact of life. And so I think it's a given. Just like you go get your bread and milk, you get your backup storage. You pay for it, you're going to use it. Just, factor it into your weekly, monthly costs. It's really very minimal. You also need to be aware, though, that it does work when you're in Wi-Fi. It needs to be accessible into your Wi-Fi area. And then this is probably not something that would be appealing to someone if they're really just cautious about not having anything in cloud based services. But we're both fans of this one as an option for backing up. So what is the next one, Chantal?
So the next one would be to back up to your Mac computer. And as we said before, if you've already upgraded to Catalina, you will find that iTunes has disappeared. But Apple has made sure that you can still use the features that you were used from iTunes. It pretty much still actually looks the same, more or less. So the only difference is that you don't need an app as such. You simply go into the Finder and you'll find that backup feature there. So when you plug in your phone, that will come up and you can back up from there. So obviously the pros are this is easy enough to do. There's no cost involved. It's all there for you, waiting to be used. And because you're backing up your phone or your tablet, whatever device we're talking about, you're backing that up to your Mac. So the backup will sit on your Mac's hard drive, and if you do what we preach and back up that computer as well, you actually have, you know, a backup of a backup. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's good.
Now, what are the cons? Obviously, you, for that scenario, you need a Mac. We'll talk about Windows in a minute. And it needs to be done manually. And anything that needs to be done manually is at risk of being forgotten, because time flies. We're all so busy, and it's so easy to forget to plug in your phone from time to time to run a backup.
And we come across that a lot with our clients. They're like, I don't know when I plug my phone in.
Or it seems like, 2 weeks ago, but then when you look, it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, true.
So it's that's a bit risky, anything that you do manually, really. But it's easy enough, so totally recommend it.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Another way to do a backup of not using iTunes anymore is to use a third-party service provider. One of the ones that we use, and there's no affiliation here, it's just something that we've found within our industry, and that is an app called iMazing. And look, there's lots of other similar ones out there, but this is something that you and I both use, and we're happy with that so far. So it's just a software that you can download, you pay for a license, but it's just another way to be able to, as soon as you plug it in, open up the app, then it's very easy to set up. It does an automatic backup. So you can also back up several different devices and go back in, and there's wireless backing up as a possibility for that as well. So it just means that once that feature is turned on in the software, then it can just back up continually. Or you can set it to a day or a week, or whatever time frame you want. And again, it's the same thing. It's then stored where you have it stored on your computer, and then whatever sort of a backup you do of your computer, you've also then, that's being backed up as well. And then, look, it's easy to do, to click and transfer photos and albums and, things like that across. It's really a great user-friendly software to give a go and have a try. And also your music and stuff like that. So they're the pros of using a different type of a service like that. The cons to that would be, again, it needs to be, well, if you haven't ticked automatic, then, which is a feature in there, you've got to look at the settings. Like everything, there's so many settings sometimes these days. It might be easy if it's just on or off. But anyway, so the choice is, I think initially it sets up as default to manual. And then you need to go in and actually set it up as a wireless backup. So you just need to check your settings for that. So there is that risk of not ticking that, and then you haven't. You've just got to remember or diarise that. And this one, obviously, there's a cost. So it's not expensive. I think at the moment the license is around $60.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a one-time fee, and then you own that software, and then it does its updates and things like that. So so that's another option. So that might be worth checking it out. We'll pop the link in the show notes for you, so you've got a copy of that to have a look at that option.
I also like that one, actually, to transfer photos from an Apple device to a Windows computer. Because the two don't usually like each other too much. So iMazing can be a really good way to transfer the photos from a phone to a PC.
Or any other device. So
that's where I use
any
it a lot.
phone. And any phone.
No, it's Apple only.
Is it only
iDevices. Yes.
Good to know.
But it runs on Mac and Windows. And I use it a lot for people with that set up. because that's actually probably the majority using an iPhone, but a PC.
But then using...
And they just don't love each other.
And any other iPads? Any other. Okay,
yeah.
fantastic. Oh, I don't have another phone these days. I used to have a Samsung, and my husband did, but no, we don't.
No,
so,
we neither.
Yeah. Oh no, pure Mac. All right, so so fantastic. That's great. So check out iMazing. What's another way that we can do a backup of Apple devices without using iTunes?
Another way that might sound a little bit old-fashioned possibly is to use a USB. Now, what we need to say about that is that these USB sticks that you can get, one that we know of and that I've used in the past is called Picture Keeper. Again, no affiliation, it's just products that we use and like. I've also used a, I think it was from SanDisk, an iXpand USB drive that plugs into your phone, and you can get them for any phone, not just Apple devices. And of course, you know, it's easy enough to do. When you buy them, you can then download a free app to your phone, and then as soon as you plug in your phone, it will back up your photos. But the big con is that it doesn't back up your phone or everything on your phone.
Yep.
But we're talking about photos here. So if you specifically want to make sure that your photos are backed up, this might be an option. And it is especially great when you don't have access to the cloud or to the internet, I should say. I personally use that a lot when we travel.
Yep, and we mentioned that in our travel episode.
That's right.
Yeah,
maybe
which is so good.
Go and listen to that if that's something you might need. So, you know, every night you just simply plug in that USB and it downloads the latest photos, and they're safe, and or at least, you know, nothing's safe.
You've got another copy.
And you know, that brings us to the cons. So again, it needs to be done manually. It's not happening automatically, and you run the risk of forgetting it. And because USBs are so small, they are really easy to lose as well. So
and they can get full quickly. So they need to be then transferred off that and wiped clean so you can use it again.
Right.
Which these things can be. But again, it's just a step.
It's another step. So and as I mentioned before, it backs up photos, and I think you can also back up other files, documents and stuff, but you'd have to check and do your research on that. But that's absolutely another option.
It is a great option, I think, for people that are in transit, and just look, if they've got no other option, no other means, and at the time, it's just something handy to have. And photos are precious, so it's a good one. All right, so the other thing is we were just talking about jumping into a Windows computer. So if you've got an Apple phone and you do have a PC, then at the moment iTunes is still available on a Windows computer, on a PC. So so then that's, just continue with the process that you've been doing. So that's, again, it's easy to do. There's no cost involved. You've got that copy on there, and then you back up your PC. So you've got a copy of that. Then the cons to this option, though, is that, again, it needs to be done manually. And, you know, the only reason we're going on about this manual process being a con today is we see it so often that people, if it's not front of mind, well, if it's not even, if they don't have to think about it, it's more likely to get done. And obviously, if you're listening to us, you've got an interest in your photos. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to us. So that's fantastic. So you've got a better chance of doing something than others. But it is just something that, you know, you've got to make a habit of. And it's not as easy for people to do that. So, again, this is one of those things. So there's that risk of that not happening frequently enough. And, you know, those precious moments can be captured that day,
Mm.
or last week there was some special event, and then the disaster happens and you haven't got them. So and the other thing too is we're not sure how long iTunes will be around for the Windows. It'll be supported, so that's a con. We just don't know. Obviously it's been changed, and in the Apple world and the Mac world, so just as likely to at some point not be supported or changed in the Windows world. So that really covers a lot of those options. So what are some of the best practices, Chantal, that we can say to cover how to back up Apple devices and without now using the iTunes on the new system with the Mac?
So what we've already mentioned, that you need to back up regularly. And it's easy to forget, so we always recommend to make a note in your diary, or if you've got, whatever system you use for reminders or tasks, put it in there, make it a regular event or appointment with yourself, or whatever you want to call it, but do it regularly. And if you have never backed up yet, the initial backup will take a little while, but when you keep going and let's say you do backup every fortnight or so, it will be a matter of a few minutes. So it's really no big deal. But it's good when you can build that habit.
Definitely. And so another best practice we would say as far as this goes is just to check whether you might be doing a backup or something, but just check and see that it is, that you can then go and back and access that. So just say worst case scenario, something happens, and you've turned that iCloud backup on, just go in and check how to see those photos in iCloud. So it's really just a matter of going to iCloud.com, putting in your Apple ID and your password, and then clicking on the icon, which is your Photos app icon. And then you should be able to see all of your photos that are in your phone into on the website.
That's when you use iCloud
if you're
Photos
using
Library.
iCloud Photos, So, but to do your backup as well, you can then check to see everything is being backed up as well. So you'll see when you go into your iCloud website, you'll see what your like the measuring thing.
Yes.
What's it called?
The
little bar, the status bar.
Yes.
With all those pretty colours, and it's telling you what it's got, its documents, and you've got all that kind of stuff. So just keep a track of that and just see that it's backing all of that stuff up to.
And also on the phone, it's actually happened to me in the past where by coincidence I went into the settings, into the what we described before, to the iCloud backup, which was on, but for some reason it hadn't backed up for a few days. So when you go in there, you can actually see, it tells you when the last backup was done. And sometimes that's a good thing, just to double check, especially if you plan to run an upgrade. You know how you get these notifications, you need to upgrade your system, blah, blah, blah. Before you do that, you can also go in these settings and click on backup now to just be extra safe, that in case something goes wrong with the upgrade, which can happen, that you've got a very new backup. So
that's definitely a best practice.
What else?
And back up. So as always, we just do our 3, 2, 1 backup. It's just, and look, I mean, we're not advocating for too many backups, because then you come into the problem of what we've got and copies and things everywhere. But obviously, just as we talk about, just just take the time to learn what you're doing about a backup properly. And just get that little 3, 2, 1 system in place, and they're good to go.
Write it down somewhere. It's just, on a little note or in your photo log book.
Yes.
Just write down what is backed up to where, and you're good.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
So that's it for today, and we hope you have enjoyed this episode of our Do-It-Yourself Photo Organizing podcast and found some inspiration, useful tips, and strategies to support your photo project.
Yeah, so we'd love to invite you to pop over to our Facebook page, DIY Photo Organising, and we welcome your questions, feedback, and any future topics that you'd like us to cover. If there is someone you'd love to share this with, then please click on share to help others take control of their photos too. And remember, have a look through our show notes for links to helpful information. I'm Fiona from Photo Helper.
And I'm Chantal from Photos in Order. Thanks so much for tuning into our podcast, and remember, we believe in you and you can do this.